My name's Colleen Jilks. Born in London. My parents' family are from Barbados originally. They came during the Windrush period, mainly to look for work, like a lot of West Indian families in that time.
My dad, Derek Williams, was born in Westmoreland, Jamaica, and he came to London in 1960. His elder sister, Lynette Hamilton, came in the 50s to do her nursing training. I discovered that at some point she was asked to show around her ward, Princess Diana, in the 1980s.
My parents came from Barbados. Dad came up, he was a shoemaker, came up to be a bus conductor. And a couple of years after that, Mum came up and she joined the NHS. And then I joined.
My parents are Jamaican, from a Jamaican background, and the Windrush generation means so much to me because of the hard work they did coming to this country.
They didn't know exactly what to expect when they came here. And like most of that generation, they came expecting just to stay for a little while and then to go back. But things didn't actually work out quite the way that they wanted, and they ended up spending most of the rest of their life here.
My dad didn't come to stay. He came just for a time to make some money and go back home because he wanted to have a farm. But it didn't quite work out that way because he then pursued my mum because he was a bus conductor. And when she would go to work, in the end, she sort of just gave up because she thought, perhaps if I go out with him for one dinner, he'll leave me alone. Lord. So then 5 children later, the family was born, and like the family grew, and so he stayed.
In Jamaica, it's just different. It's a different way of living.
They found that when they came here, because of the prejudice they experienced, they didn't actually get to work in the professions that they had left when they came from the Caribbean. They took much lower paid jobs. But they instilled in their children to be educated and to move forward and push through those barriers.
So many times when I was younger, I would go over to my grandparents' house, dominoes playing downstairs, and that sense of family and unity, I feel like is very different in British culture.
Obviously, this country could be better in terms of where it is in race relations, but they have done so much hard work. They've done the groundwork for us. They endured so much for us, and they built this country. They've helped make England what it is.
I see it as a point of pride, a point of progression, and definitely something that we need to remember of everything that, you know, the Windrush generation fought for to get me to where I am.
We were like pioneers in a way, but they set it, the pathfinders, people like myself.
I kind of see the impact and the legacy of like these really like life-giving, joyful, like brightly dressed people, bringing all of the joy, all of the fun, all of the youthfulness of like loads of these people who are coming over wanting to do better, pursue better. And I'm like, oh man, I'm so thankful.
They gathered together and they, you know, strengthened each other, and they kind of looked after each other through really difficult times.
I think they successfully brought the feeling of and the atmosphere and almost the values of the West Indies into the cities that they then migrated to. And I'm so grateful because I think as a child who's grown up in this really multicultural space, I'm like, it just wouldn't look like this if West Indians had never come over to help, to serve, to rebuild this kind of post-war country. It's the definition of open door culture. Around like your grandma's table, the good, the bad, and the ugly are welcome because she's just like, God loves you, God's in you, I've been brought up to believe that. You can come and sit here and you can share in this meal and you can share in the banters of this family and this dynamic.
We are happy people. We are very, very happy people. And when it comes to food, yeah, when it comes to food, that's us, that's our culture.
Jerk chicken, curry goat, plantain, rice and peas, you know, breadfruit, if it's a proper authentic thing.
I love being a child of the Windrush, man.
Because they took the baton, they left their country to come and help what they called at the time the motherland, and they sacrificed that and pushed that forward so that the next generation, which is us, could move forward. I think it's important for people of your generation to know your history, because unless you know where you came from, you don't really know where you're going, and you need that grounding, because you're more than just English being born here. I was born here, but you also have your Caribbean heritage, and it's very important to know that, to know where you are, and know who you are.
The church is meant to so many things to so many different people. It's hope, it's refuge, it's progression, it's change, it's challenge, it's so many things. And actually, it's also love, it's also compassion, it's also joy. And I think the church should always be a place and always play a role of inclusion, of including people in the narrative of bringing hope to wherever they are and whatever that looks like. It's always an amalgamation of people. It's not just a few or some and not others. To me, that's how I kind of see it all, the church's role particularly being brought forward in that, rather, I should say.